This is the Netgear Nighthawk M6 Pro. It's a mobile router. Essentially, something you throw a data SIM in or a SIM card in of some kind. And yeah, it provides you with a Wi-Fi point. It's a hotspot, really. You know, it does what your phone does with its hotspot functionality, but it's dedicated to doing just that. Why did I want one of these? Independent connectivity wherever we are. So that might be the capability for me or my partner to work on a device. This in my particular case contains an unlimited data SIM, and how we have then speeds, hopefully, that allow us to do our jobs wherever we may be. Secondly, we have mobile connectivity for the whole family. So if we're in the car, then this can become our Wi-Fi hotspot in the car. This then becomes something that you can, if you want to really geek out, connect to an external antenna on the roof and really get good reception. So you've got really good mobile reception, and then you have a Wi-Fi bubble within your car, which all your family can connect to. So, you know, in my case, my son can connect, download his music. Maybe my younger son could connect and watch something on the iPad if he didn't vomit every time he did that. And yeah, everyone can just stream as much as they like using the data that is contained within this. Third reason, hotel use. So whenever I'm in a hotel, I don't like hotel Wi-Fi and I don't trust hotel Wi-Fi. If I can offload it and put it onto something like this, I'm happier. And it means, again, you get the benefit that the whole family can connect to that as well. So if you're staying in a hotel as a family, you know, you've all got Wi-Fi connectivity coming from this device that can just be plugged in the corner of the room. Hopefully you've got enough signal to support it, and you're good to go. I don't really want to go into the specs of this product on this video. This is really just a chat about the product and what I kind of, my first impressions of it really, and what I like and what I don't like. But I will just show you around the box so you can have a look at these, at what it says on the side about the product if you're really that interested. There you go, you can pause on there, and then you've got various kind of promotional spiel down the side there. And yeah, so this is a Wi-Fi 6E product. It's the first Wi-Fi 6E device that I've got. So that's the 6 gigahertz band, a dedicated newish in 2023 band for Wi-Fi. A load of channels, completely separate from anything else. But I have absolutely nothing that can connect to Wi-Fi 6E at the moment. So yeah, no, not much use to me. So this is the actual device. It's pretty small, isn't it? And that's good. You want a mobile router to be small. You don't want to be carrying like something the size of your normal home router around. But I suppose the only one of the things I struggle with is the fact that when you've got things connected to this, so at the front here we've got our two TS9 connectors for external antenna. So this is if you're using it in kind of a MIMO, sort of multi-in, multi-out configuration. So dual, so 2 times MIMO in this case. I think that's right. Is that the correct pronunciation? MIMO? Don't know, whatever. And if you've got a fairly sturdy sort of Cat 7 or whatever Ethernet cable into here, then and a USB-C, this thing just gets pulled around, and you just feel that these ports are quite vulnerable. So yeah, but it is small, and that's probably a good thing. On the battery, let's have a look. So the battery just pops off, and I always feel that this is really quite easy to come off and quite fragile, because once that's broken, this little bit of plastic here. This is a mobile device, remember. This is something you're supposed to throw in a bag. You're supposed to chuck around. You can use this in a sort of like semi-permanent mode where you have it plugged into power, and then it allows you to do extra kind of configuration to increase the Wi-Fi coverage and all that. But they expect you to use this mobile off battery. And here's the battery. Again, we've got a battery here that hopefully can be replaced. It's a fairly good capacity battery. You can get quite a good number of hours off this. 5,040 milliamp hours, 19.4 watt hours on this lithium polymer cell. So nice. It's a good battery. And underneath here, we can see SIM card goes in here. And yeah, so if you wanted to use it as in that permanent sort of static state, then you've got to leave the battery out. So then you pop this on the back, and this thing weighs nothing. It's just a really plasticky thing. But I don't know, it doesn't really work for me. I think there should be the option to use it in the powered up state. even with the battery in. But I suppose they want to limit the amount of just constant semi-charging of the battery and stuff, so it probably keeps the battery in better condition. So when you look on the front of the box, go on, have a look at the front of the box here. This display looks really good, doesn't it? It looks super high resolution, really, really fine. It's not that good, really. The display isn't that good. I'm going to turn it on now so you can see. Overall, I just want to say I'm listing some bad things here, but the product as a whole is good. It works. It connects. It's configurable. It's got a good web interface that you can change anything and pretty much everything on it. So the product works, right? You put in your SIM, it works, it connects, it's reliable. And I have given this to my partner and said, I'm just going to hook this up. Can you change your work laptop to this and just work off this for the whole day and just see how you go? And that's kind of risking it, really. She's on Teams calls continually. This is important. Well, it's important as far as her job's concerned. And she did it and had absolutely no problems, connected to a 5G mast, which is probably about, about half a mile away from where we are. Good 5G signal because I threw it into a proper directional antenna. But there you go. That's what you can do with a product like this. So another thing I don't like, boot up time is pretty long, as you can see on here. Yep, still starting up. I suppose most devices like this have similar boot up times, do they? So there we are. It has now booted up and we are on our home screen here. Are we? Is that the home screen? I don't think it is. Oh, we're on airplane mode. Why are we on airplane mode? Okay, so the device just tends to sit here like this. It's fairly aggressive as far as power saving is concerned. It'll turn the screen off. Probably best to keep the screen dim. This thing will use quite a bit of power, so anything you can do to save power is good. But you can bring the screen up at any point just by pressing the power button that's on the top here. And that opens up your stats around how much data you've got. The SIM that I've got in this has a fair use policy on an FUP, fair usage policy of 600 gig. So that's how much it's saying, and I've used 9.48 gig of that. 13 days left. Haven't been using too much at the moment, but we've got time and date on there. So to get into the main settings, and just swipe up here, and then we've got all our sort of main settings. But as I said, I don't really want to go too much into the detail of all this you can do. I will do that on a separate video if you want. But this is, it claims to be this really nice touchscreen. It is a touchscreen, but it's not a terribly nice one. It kind of feels like an old GoPro or something. It's just a bit kind of clunky and really not what we're used to in a world where we have kind of smartphones with 120 hertz displays and all this sort of stuff. But you can set all sort of normal things that you would expect through here, and it gives you a lot of information. So even if you can't actually access the device, you can still do a lot of the configuration on here. And that's really good. I find that a really positive thing, that you can change everything you need to from the device itself. That's great. It seems with Netgear products, almost anything you do requires a restart. And that drives me mad. I use AVM Fritz boxes for my Wi-Fi at home. So I have a Fritzbox 7590 as my main router, and then I have various Wi-Fi wireless nodes throughout the house to extend the coverage. And that has a beautiful interface, and pretty much everything you do doesn't need a restart. There might be one or two things that need a restart. It's the other way around for this. It has an interface which, although you can do lots of stuff with it, don't get me wrong, gives you lots of information around kind of signal and things like that. And I will do another video where I go into the web interface and walk you through that and just show you how kind of fully featured it is, really, considering this is just a sort of mobile router. You can really do a lot of fair amount of stuff with it. Yeah, you've got to restart. You just do simple things like change something on, enable Wi-Fi, or enable the guest Wi-Fi, or whatever, and you've got to probably restart the device. So you can see the screen's timed out there pretty aggressively. So yeah, that is quite irritating. I suppose the two other bad things that are the things that I don't like about this are, firstly, these TS9 connectors here. I don't know how TS9 connectors usually are, but let's take a look at one of these. I'm going to try and get in really close here so you can have a good look at it. I'm going to have to hold this up to the camera, so you have to tolerate my shaking hands. But look at this. This is, you're effectively looking at a connector, at least from what I can tell there, you're looking at a connector that is on the board. That's the board in there, I think. It's on the board, and you got to be reasonably firm to attach these, because they're not like really super simple click type connectors. You know, you've got to sort of push it in and twist it, and that requires a fair amount of force. So not loads, but it's just that they look to be so flimsy. And on a device like this, as I say, where it's quite small, I just think that if they fail, this device can so quickly become completely useless. Because for me, if those TS9 ports didn't work and one of them broke or something like that, it's useless for me. And I just wish there was some way of having a better port on here that was mounted. Maybe the RF losses would be too high on a different type of port. Maybe they have to do it so it's direct, as direct into the board as they can possibly get it at these frequencies. I just don't know. But for me, it feels like if you could have an actual socket mounted on the outside of the casing, surely that's a better way of doing it. You could then replace it potentially, but it looks like that's straight onto the board. And you get my point, right? I don't like that at all. Secondly, I used this camping a couple of weeks back now, and I had this kind of just sat on top of like a battery. I had the power station. I was using a power station. I was actually testing the Bluetti EB70 power station at the same time. And I had this sat on the top, and it gets quite warm in a tent sometimes, doesn't it? And this thing can get really, really hot. I've used this in a bag and had it actually on in a bag. So I've been able to be connected to it. So it's been powered up in a bag. It gets really quite hot. Same in the tent, really quite warm. So you've got to watch that because, yeah, it isn't quite. I just thought it would kind of expected this to run fairly cool, but it doesn't. I guess there's quite a lot going on here, particularly if you're doing fast data transfer and stuff. Yeah, things get warm when you start doing that type of thing. So in addition, you see these on the bottom. I've just stuck these on, these stickers, because it comes with just these 4 things. So when you've got it on any kind of work, if you put it on like the dash of your car or something like that, it just slips around. So it should come with some sort of rubber feet or something a little more or a little less slippy, because this base is absolutely useless and just pulls around everywhere. Total oversight on their part. Really don't think that's good at all. So if I go back into the menus here and I swipe up, and you can see you have power modes, and you've got balanced for best battery life, you've got performance to give a slightly better Wi-Fi coverage, and then you've got plugged in, which gives you maximum coverage, which I guess again is disabled because I haven't got it. I haven't got the battery taken out and I haven't got it plugged in. But all these power modes have sort of fixed things. So let's say I go into the interface on the web, so in a web browser, and I say, in the mode, how I'm using it at the moment, I don't need the Ethernet port. I'm not going to use it, so I disable the Ethernet port. If I then select a mode through here, if that mode has the Ethernet port enabled as part of its mode, as part of its preset, it'll just re-enable it again. And I think these need to be customizable. I don't think they are. You need to have your own settings, your own presets that you can add into this. But you can't do that. Not that I can see anyway. Please, somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. And then finally, Wi-Fi coverage, because it's all about Wi-Fi, isn't it, this thing? It's all about getting the Wi-Fi out there so that you can get onto the mobile network and have decent coverage for wherever you are. In a car, in a tent, in a hotel room, it's absolutely fine. If you're only covering one room, it's fine. But any claims that are made about this device having really good Wi-Fi coverage are simply not true. The only time this device has even like similar coverage to a normal household router and normal coverage you would get is in full performance mode. So if you have it actually plugged in and you have the battery removed. I've tested this on Wi-Fi analyzers, and as far as the signal goes, that's when it reaches pretty much the same signal as your standard home Wi-Fi devices. However, the performance still doesn't seem to be quite as good. So as a Wi-Fi performer, this isn't great. As in every other way, though, it does the speed, it does the connectivity, it does the external antennas. You can offload to Ethernet, you can offload to local Wi-Fi if you want. You have all the sort of features you want on here for mobile internet. It's a great product. Don't want anyone to go away thinking this is bad, but I do want you to be aware of those few things that I don't like about it after using it for about 3 or 4 weeks. Hope you found that useful. If you've got any questions on this product whatsoever, then please do put them in the comments. And I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks very much for watching. See you soon.